Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you guys are doing good. Welcome to episode 2 of AgriNext by NICF. So as you all know that we have designed this podcast especially for our founder so that we can tell you like what's happening in the agriculture field and what you can do in this field and make prosperous startup out of it. So today we have an amazing guest with us today for this special podcast as well. I am very excited to host him today. Please welcome Salar Malik, GM Sustainability and Innovation at Fauji Fertilizers. How are you, Salar?
Thank you, Wagga. Good to be here.
That's good. I hope we will have a very wonderful session today.
Look forward to it.
So, beginning with the first question, as we all read from our school that agriculture is the backbone of Pakistan. And if we see from the stats, agriculture contributes a major role in the GDP of Pakistan. But yet our productivity is very low. So what do you think how innovation can basically help us in increasing the productivity of our agriculture?
I agree with you, Abu Bakr. I think productivity is a main concern for the country. And tech is exactly where we are lacking. And at each level, from seed to harvest, at every tier, Pakistan is actually way behind the technology which is being adopted. And that's where I think the role of NIC Faisalabad is very important. They need to, over here, you need to nurture the right kind of tech from the input side, from the processing side, and from the off-tech side at all levels. We need a lot of tech enablement for the startups to be able to contribute towards the productivity of products in Pakistan.
That's a very wonderful answer. So, Salar, like most of our farmers are based out of rural areas, right? And yet, power is very insufficient in the rural areas, and yet the prices are very high. That's why exporting of our crops couldn't match basically the expenses of the farmers. Do you think in this regard, precision agriculture and using the latest technologies can help us in some way, or is it just like a myth?
No. Precision agriculture is very critical because, of course, that what the farmers need to be told, and I think that's where the founders of the startups need to also play a role, that the precision agriculture is not only going to raise their costs, it is going to actually, in the end, reduce their input costs. Where they were putting 2 bags, they will maybe required to put 1.5 bag. Where they needed to employ 10 people, by the use of a drone or a satellite, 1 person can do that job, right? So their input costs will go dramatically down if they use precision agriculture at all the levels of farm.
I guess basically because like how AI and innovation is transforming agri field, so it should also basically change the agriculture field, right? So Salar, you are also the GM for innovation and sustainability at Fauji Fertilizers, and Pakistan recently seen a lot of climate crises as well. So now the climate talks are real and it's very important for Pakistan right now. So what do you think, what are the ways that Pakistani farmers should go for the sustainability as well, but also make profits out of it?
Oh, it's a very big challenge. You are very right. The farmers need to actually, they want to make money, they should make money. But in our because we have floods, then we have no rains, we have rains at the wrong time. So the poor farmers at the end of the day, what happens is that they end up spending more than their output and the field is. So what they can do is they actually unfortunately can only do very little. It is the other people and other ecosystem that has to do a lot more, so that as and when, let's say if a farmer does incur a loss, for example at FFC what we have done is we have introduced crop insurance for the farmers, so that if there is a natural calamity like a flood or a drought or hailstorm which affects the farmer's crop, we make sure that the farmer gets something out of the insured amount that he has. So I think the ecosystem, the whole agri ecosystem has to be developed in a way that the farmers should be protected against these environmental impacts. And when we introduce these high-tech or precision agriculture practices to the farmers, the same farmers are in a way affecting the positive impact on the climate. So it's they have to do something, but the ecosystem also has to enable that.
Salar, you have been at Fauji Fertilizers, you must have been working on very big corporate projects around agriculture as well. But here at NICF, we have seen that like small startups are very successful in achieving like pilot projects as well, but most of the startups fail in achieving like the big corporate projects. So what do you think, what are the reasons and what startup should do to basically prosper in a longer run?
Actually, the fault I don't think lies in the startup or their concept. I think the onus for this is on the corporates. The large corporates need to do a lot more hand-holding of these new ideas. And we need to understand that this ecosystem, startup ecosystem, 1 out of 10 might be successful. But that doesn't mean we only hold one. You have to hold all 10, give them an opportunity to succeed. So the startup ecosystem, what I think NIC can play that role, is they should make them very confident and they should be true to their ideas. Because a lot of founders, and I've seen while I mentor also, that they get disheartened very easily. So I think the NIC ecosystem needs to really support the founders and keep them steadfast, while at the same time reaching out to corporates like FFC and others, that the support should come from the top while the starters keep grinding. Because the startup founders need to know this, and this I'm talking to all the founders, that you have to work very hard. You might have a very good idea, but if you let it go after 6 months that it's not working, no, you might have spent 2 years working and then it might click. So you should not let it go. You should keep working hard.
So Salar, you are also like the mentor for NICF as well. But if we see it like from the founders' perspective, founders think their biggest need is funding, right? And whenever like we think about it, startups being successful is only funding comes to our mind, right? What do you think mentorship and coaching, how crucial it is for the startup growth as well?
I think it's very important because at the end of the day, the startups need funding, but the investors who are looking for those startups, they want returns. As I've seen it here, you have that kind of infrastructure available. The pitches that they make to the investors have to be very solid and realistic. Don't give investors those kind of ideas that, tomorrow they'll have a 10x or 15x profit. But the pitch being made by the startup should be designed in a way where they know that it is going to attract the investor while giving them no false hopes. So it has to be a very balanced pitch, but it has to be a strong pitch. And I was just talking to some of the staff of NIC. The mannerism and the methodology that the startup founder is using to make the pitch is very crucial. Their body language, their whatever vocabulary they use is very critical, because they have to click with the investor. So if the NIC can do this for the founder, I think investors will definitely like to take a bet on the startups.
Thank you so much, Salar, for coming to this podcast today, and I hope you guys learned a lot from this podcast today. So stay tuned for more episodes. Signing out. Allah Hafiz.